Hello, Super Robot fans. The internet can't stop me from recording what's already downloaded, so let's rock. My name's Austin. We're getting back into our alpha playthrough. I'm very ticked. I still want to play some video games. So I'm recording this on the day that my Thursday stream was supposed to be, but we lost it because my upload was just not happening. Oh. Grump, 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 grump. But while we're here, I would like to make I would like to make a single change. I was gonna say a few changes, but that's not true. I would like to make a single change, which we will get into in a minute. But it looks like all of my parts are missing or are unequipped. So I think let's get those places. We're using the combattler pretty heavily. So why are these unequipped? That's so odd. Oh, probably from the route split. Okay. Well, let's do this. And then I can talk about said change. I think I am pro giving the combattler a good chunk of armor. We've like not gotten to use the giant robo in a while. I think it probably also deserves some armor parts. Maybe we give it the 2 smaller ones. I don't recall there being anything in this game that we like actively are allowed to use that has a barrier. I guess other than the Grungust itself. But yeah, like this propellant tank can probably actually probably both of these are not worth it on it. To that point, I think the combattler probably deserves an extra point of movement. Let's give the giant robo 2 pieces of armor. And I guess we definitely do also want the Grungust to have some armor. Right, because being able to reduce damage is going to make the psychic barrier proc more often. We're going to give it 1 point, though. I do think it having the booster was actually... I took it off, and I was like, I don't like that. And that immediately is bad feel, so I think we're going to put that back on. If we get to use the Ginray Robo consistently, like I want her to have the extra movement as she's going to be the primary support bot we are using. Who else do we deeply care about? Where is the R1? I think for now we can give it some of the mobility based options. So this is 5 and 20 and 10 and 15. I think I like the biosensor better. Yeah, I think the biosensor is generally a better part. We need to see what Ryusei's stats are. So he's hitting what, 320, 325, right? Yeah, 325. Okay. So yeah, we don't need that 400. Right, so if we... Yeah, right? So 15 of that limit is also 10 of that mobility. So we're just... This is like... The amount of limit we're gaining is +5, and we're already over. So we just want to gain as much mobility out of these parts as possible. Yeah. So I think I like using 1 of them on him, and then giving him also a movement. Right, giving him Apogee Motor. And then this 5 mobility has already been accounted for with the 5 from the biosensor. Who else are we using? I do want to use the V Gundam at some point. I don't know if it's going to be this playthrough, though. But I mean, I guess, what are we putting it on right now? What are we actively using? Because those parts are probably going to end up going on the Macross units that are new to this game. I'm pretty sure is what we decided. I'm pretty sure we decided that they were new to this game. Decided as if I couldn't just look it up. But then I wanted to try and use the new stuff. Right, we're gonna put this on the Super Gundam because, well, this is the Gundam Mark II right now, which does not bode well in my mind for it being combinable. Or separatable, that it has to be combinable, but we'll find out. Who else has the booster? The Combattler and the Grungust. Drat. Like, another point of movement would be great here to put on the Super Gundam. I don't hate the idea of extra range. Oh. Yeah, we'll look through attacks and see what the extra range is going to be. And then... yeah, okay. Apologies if this is not the most exciting. If I remember to do it correctly, I'll probably try and timestamp. I'll probably try and timestamp after this because I know people sometimes get like grossly bored of seeing preps. I think they are important. I think it is, you know, a very fundamental part of playing these games to get your preps right. Honestly, I think preps are kind of more important than the other parts of the game. We give it to the Alex? Are we gonna? I don't know. I like. Obviously, I love the Alex. I love Chris. We've talked about her a lot, but I just don't know how much we're actually going to use her. And I feel like I'm prone to want to use her because of how she works in previous games, not in this one. You know. We could put it on the Big Moth. Seeing as it has a long-range cannon. Yeah, let's do that. That seems fine. That's different than we thought we were going to do, but... let me just save this just to be safe. My computer has been crash happy. It would be a shame to have to do that again. Okay. Now, let's launch. So speaking of launching... you'll see me for a second, but we're gonna try this, and let me know whether you like this or not. Like the feedback is appreciated. There's really no reason for me to click through all this. I'm just going to talk over it, right? Nothing important is happening here, and it's a lot of extra time in these videos. So I'm thinking, if everyone's okay with it, that I'm just gonna cut this whole section out. That's not gonna cut out me talking about the story, though. I'll just talk about the story while we're playing, because we're still running into a lot of time with downside. Because I can usually summarize the story quicker than it takes for me to, like, menu through all of this. So, like, we're still, like, the point of talking about the story was also kind of to try and fill dead time. But I'm also adding dead time, you know? But maybe you like seeing it. Maybe you like seeing the character models. Like, sure, I'm going through the Japanese very quickly. It's not necessarily readable in the way we're doing it. But you can, like, still pull some story elements seeing all these characters interact. And, like, admittedly, the fact that these characters are, like, somewhat animated sometimes is, like, pretty impressive for the PS1. So, I'm going to record 3 episodes all together. So, like, any changes, either positively or negatively, are not going to, like, immediately reflect. I guess if you like it, it's going to immediately reflect. But we're going to do this for at least 3 episodes. So if you feel like you would like to see these sections continue, let me know. But otherwise, I'm going to move forward and then just skip through the story, and we'll just cut right to, like, anything important. I had originally not done this because there are, like, choices in the middle here, but, like, I can just cut to that choice and talk about it pretty quickly and then move on. So given that, I will, let's start trying that now, and I will see you when we actually get to preparations. Goodbye for a minute. Okay, yeah, that skipped, like, I feel like 20 minutes of dialogue. Good gracious, that was so long. Okay. I guess with how we're doing this, you don't get to see ahead of time what the map's going to look like, kind of, right? Like, you can still see it flash in. And you can't do that with how we've done it here, but... No, it does have the Super Gundam here. Okay, yeah, no, then the Super Gundam is good. The Super Gundam is, like, actively good. We want Ginrei here. She's a little behind on levels. Just a little bit, though. Can we sort? I'm so used to it sorting by level, like, by default. We have the Raijin O. The Raijin O. You can tell where my head is. We have the Raidin, Argama, and Evo 1 and 2. We're bringing Ginrei with. She is our primary support. I'm just thinking whether we want a second support. And I think the answer is yes. If I remember correctly, the Bloogers are just resuppliers, I think. So that's kind of not what we want. We will take the Nethus with them, I guess. Because it flies. Okay. We're just into it. Okay, cool. So, let's talk about the stage. This is also going to be a good excuse, the fact that I can't, like, rely on the game kind of tutorializing it for me. I can, like, I'm, like, forced to talk about what's going on. So, first, if I can get to the screen. Our objectives. So, there's actually a lot going on this stage. We need to just basically survive for 4 turns. Then Shinji is going to fire a big heck-off laser bazooka sniper rifle at one of the angels that's now attacking a city. Or attacking the city. It's trying to attack Nerve Base. So we have to survive for, we have to quote-unquote survive for 4 turns. But that's going to get modified in a second by the expert point. With that said, the Ava Unit 1 can't attack. It is not controllable. Actually, both of the AV units are not. Okay, cool. Good. Interesting. Good to know. So we can't let enemies enter around the AVA unit. I'm hoping that we will see that zone soon, but I'm going to guess it's probably just like full adjacency, not orthogonal adjacency. We also can't let the battleship die, obviously. If all the rest of our units die, that also does not work. I believe the other one is if Shinji takes damage, which feels redundant, but I guess he could also be attacked from like far away, you know. But the point being is that we're trying thematically, we were trying to protect Shinji, while he's like charging up or like aiming his shot to attack this angel. This is Ramiel. With that said, our expert point is going to modify that just to survive for 4 turns. We need to destroy all of these units, these ones and these ones, all of the Yoma Empire, within 4 turns to get our expert point. I don't think that's going to be too big of a deal. I think we have like a pretty potent team with us, and like most of these are Dlomes and they die pretty quickly. Which is also why I wanted 2 support bots, so we could send one to one side and one to the other side, you know. So I think that's what our mission looks like. But I like very deliberately calling it out. I'm so bad at doing that, where this is like a good excuse to start that. Okay, so while we are prepping, let's talk story. Shinji opens by feeling kind of distressed, kind of unwanted. Oh, actually, sorry, hold on. Here, we'll get better at this. We'll get better at this as we go. My first priority targets are going to be these the Bastodons, largely because they can only attack from one range, so it's unlikely for them to attack on enemy phase. We're going to need to take out the Dlomes that are really close to Shinji, but generally speaking, we kind of don't care about fighting them immediately because they are so fragile. They're just going to die whenever they attack anybody. And like that Dlome isn't even getting that far. Like that's definitely definitely a getter jet kind of target, right? Like that's, yeah. Yeah, I'll just put that back together. We just gotta remember not to switch together through. We gotta be careful, but that's fine. To that same token, I think we can probably get some in here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so Shinji is feeling particularly, like, unwanted, unloved. Largely because this is, like, partially invented by the plot of the game. Because there are so many other robots that can fight the angels, he's sort of just like not necessary. Part of this is coming because of there being like other Ava units to fight, and like part of this is coming also as like a way to excuse the fact that he went berserk and he is distressed by that. But it is an interesting like, not artifact. This is an instance where I would not describe this as the game making original plot. This feels like instead the game fulfilling the consequences of some of the original plot that it has made. And like, obviously I'm pro that. That's good and responsible of them to do. Cool. Okay. And they should have 3 parts then. I guess we don't see the part slots. Okay. We gotta equip something on Rekoa in the G Defensor to see if we can give the Super Gundam some extra stats. That's fine. But this also still like feeds into what I was trying to say about place when we were talking about the Getter pilots. I think I even compared some of the Getter story to the Eva story, which makes sense to me, right? I would say they are two sides of the same identity, just like one that has a generally positive and one that has a generally negative spin on things. It feels weird to call Getter positive, but like I would generally say it is. I'm not sure it's like the most optimistic thing in the world, but I would say it is like roughly positive. Fortunately, we also can just like have Ginrei like go to combat because she can do that. Yeah. I think this side's looking a little bit more dire, but I think it is going to end up being fine next turn. You know what? We could also just have... I was gonna have the Super Gundam go over here with the rest of this group, but this group is like already rather proficient on their own that I don't think that's actually necessary. I think we can bring the Super Gundam over to the right side over here. Yeah. We are gonna have the Methus go over with them though. Oh, I was kind of hoping... Doesn't it have like a mobile armor mode where it like sort of folds down with the G Defensor? Am I mistaken? Is that just an invention for like one of the Gundam games? Maybe. But Shinji's NOE is also setting us up well for a like excuse to put him with the principal cast. I think generally speaking, the game has given good justification for why characters are with why they are with us, why they are joining us. And I don't think this is an exception. Okay, cool. We kind of don't care what cost we are paying. We just need to like do as much damage as possible. Yeah. I think we might even be able to clear it next turn. I think we can probably clear it next turn. Good golly. So that's where Shinji gets left off for a second. Then the rest of our team is doing some shopping. And actually, I'm like, you know that I am usually one to be very dismissive of the sort of school life, social, slice of life elements. But I think it tells us a couple of very important things. So for one, the group is sort of critical of Ryoma. Is it Ryoma? Yeah. Of being dismissive of going shopping. That they... Ooh, what's happening? Oh, I forgot Ingram also shows up. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that. We didn't need you, but thank you, I guess. Yeah, so Ryoma is critical of going shopping. But the rest of the group is like, nah, like this is important. It's okay to take your time. Not everything needs to be this like always active, always fighting. Not just like for aggressive reasons, but like always feeling like you're fighting for your life is not healthy. So I'm glad the game is doing that thing that we always talk about, the like show us what normal looks like to make sure that we know the cost that we are paying when we lose it. That is like, that to me is an important part of storytelling, especially if we're going to use the sort of like daily life elements, you know? I see very little reason for those when we have a like large, strong, serious plot. If we're not going to try to use them as a way to make sense out of like what we are paying. So on one hand, there is that, whatever that is, however you want to like be specific and call that. But also, because Ryusei is there and he is a big ol' nerd, we also get a conversation about him wanting to buy model kits. And this feels like a throwaway line, but it tells us actually a lot about how, like, I guess what I want to call like the speed of the game. Again, because I'm playing this in translation, I'm like not necessarily seeing the full extent of like all the language that the game is using, but I've not gotten a very strong sense of how long all of this is taking. So the fact that Ryusei says that he had, like, while he's there, he's not looking to buy it. He already has a model kit for the Mazinger Z with the Jet Scrander on it. Like, we just got that. What do you mean you have a model kit for it? And on one hand, maybe he's like a quote-unquote real weeb where he is like kit bashing in his garage style making models. Or, on the other hand, actually, factually, genuinely a lot of time has passed in between us doing these fights. I think each of them say something like uniquely special to that version of the world. I am more interested in the idea that we are only sort of stopping down to see, I guess, like, for lack of a better word, the most exciting parts. I think that is a more full version of the world. I like when my stories have space that exists outside of just like when I'm allowed to see it, you know? I think we're gonna go here. I don't think this is going to kill, but okay. Yeah, we should have put a gain on. That's fine. That would have been 2 more levels. Oh well. Oh, there's supposed to be a boss in here. Well, yeah, sure. This is worth no money? No, this is worth 42,000. Sorry. No, he's got no kills. Okay. Because we have a fortune. We've got 2 fortunes even. Do we want to do that? I don't think we actually want to do that. I think instead... Yeah, I guess we don't even need the movement. I guess we're just staying as Getter 1. Okay. And just like... We don't have enough for Shine Spark. Do we have... That was the worst way to do that. Okay, we have a Valor. We have a Fortune. No, we're good. Okay. But like it feels like a throwaway line that is like actually, you know, I found it interesting, and I guess I hope you thought you might too. While we are out, we then bump into Shinji again, and he sort of notices our both like brazen disregard for basically anything, that we're all just sort of like nonchalant all the time. But because we've been summoned here to interact with Nerve, and other like something else alarming is on the way. So Shinji figures out who we are, seeing as we bumped into him once already. Which I will also say, it feels weird that we're not talking about the fact that he went berserk that one time. We've just sort of gone, we're just not gonna mention it. We weren't told that we were supposed to evacuate, so like maybe we did more than I realized, and we didn't actually catch that moment. But regardless, like he recognizes who we are, and he figures that, you know, they feel like these people are much more directly related to my situation than people who work at Nerve are, right? They are still part of this fight. They are, oh gracious, we can do so much. Okay, that's good to know. Like, they are still part of this fight, but they are not as direct. They're not on the front lines, right? So he finds companionship and he finds place because people have similar experiences to him. But to be like as sad as we were about Musashi. Actually, speaking of, is he in here? Who is in here? No, it is Benkei. Okay. He, like, the immediate way that he contextualizes his relationship to these people that he's not actually met is that he feels like he could be useful to them, which is generally tragic, that like someone's value is derived from their own utility, like from someone's value is derived from their utility, not just because like people are people and deserve respect, but also coming after a place where like Shinji is being used, and whether he acknowledges it directly, sees the consequences of him being used, and that is directly the thing that is the problem. But then immediately jumps to like mirroring that because it's the only thing that he knows. What else? The one downside of doing it this way is I might not remember everything, but like as I get used to it, it will have an easier time. That's perfect. I was really hoping you were going to move that way. That makes it much easier for us. Could you attack? Man, there's so many enemies that just don't attack on enemy phase. This game is so player phase driven. Yeah, I think we got it this turn, though. We got it this turn. What else? Okay. Yeah, I guess that's like the most major stuff. Then we have just like so much sort of like fillery nonsense talk about like the nature of the mission that we are on. Quattro and Amuro and Bright are all talking to Gendo, the guy in charge of Nerve. And I think it's Quattro who notices it first, but all three of them recognize that, you know, the way Nerve is being is incredibly suspect. And depending on like why or what their next moves are, we might have good reason to, you know, like, one, to start pointing our guns at Nerve, not with Nerve. That they could turn into equally as much of a threat as any of the monsters that we are actively facing. We probably didn't actually need that bullseye, but that's fine. Okay, let's make sure we have our fortune on. Okay, good. We have both fortune and gain. There we go. Yeah, so there's some of the like light tension, eyebrow raising, people speaking in very like strange tones at each other as they sort of debate the value of like what Nerve is actually doing. But that is sort of quickly replaced by trying to conceive of how we're going to deal with the angels. On one hand, we are told that like our group is pretty much the only people that can handle them, but also that we shouldn't go and fight the one that's like now on our doorstep because our weapons won't do anything to them. So can we fight them or not? I'm willing to chalk this up more towards Gendo being manipulative. Like, these things feel like they are very deliberately chosen as phrases from Gendo, instead of it being like a faithful narration that he's like, oh, you're the only ones that can save me. While then also trying to be manipulative and making sure that like his project gets center stage, you know? I think giving him more willfulness in that makes the story not only just better but make more sense. So we're gonna go with that. But in the process of fighting, oh, we never separated. Oh, okay. Well, that's bad. We're supposed to separate the combattler out to punch all this stuff. Okay. It's fine. Yeah. So in the process of trying to like have an actual conversation about how are we going to interact with the angel, we are told that okay, somewhere in here, I guess doing this a little out of order is what's going to I'm going to end up doing this a little out of order because we had a lot of story to cover. I feel like this is not going to be nearly as consequential or a problem in future chapters. But I forgot to mention that in the middle here, Shinji also went out in Eva 1 to fight the angel. But like the second he got on the surface, he got just like absolutely blasted by one of its lasers, and then had to retreat basically immediately. And for good reason, Ray is worried about whether or not he's like going to ever be able to fight again. Like, he took a very powerful attack basically head on. So if he can't, like, what is to be done? Ray suggests that she can go out in the Eva Unit 1, and the rest of the team starts putting together like a contingency plan. So, whoops, well, that's a shame. They end up going with a prototype / old school style weapon. I think we're calling it sort of a prototype because they are developing one actively right now that will eventually be sort of the solution, but in the meantime they just have like an old version of it, is I believe how we're doing it. But so like that part is not an invention by Neon Genesis Evangelion. Like, this is the weapon that they use to fight. This is Sakiel, I think. But how it's being powered is unique to this game, and this feels like it's very well incorporated. So the energy source for the rifle is going to come from getter rays. They're taking 2 getter generators, 2 that we just saw them working on last mission. Oh, I guess that was. Oh yeah, that was the last one. That was the last one. 2 that we saw them working on last mission, and we're going to use that to power the sniper rifle. And the photon power that we saw the scenario before is going to be used as a like defensive barrier to help support Shinji. Oh, sorry, no. Sorry, that's also going to help. Both those are going to help to power him. The electromagnetic field for the combattler and the voltage we've not yet seen are going to act to try and defend him and keep him alive. That it can withstand it can withstand the full blast of one of his laser, one of those Sakiel's lasers, for a full 20 seconds. And everyone sort of like reflects and cheers on the fact that like all of humanity is coming together for this, not just in will, but like literally the most advanced versions of humanity's research are all being pooled to fight this alien menace. So, like, again, we are reinforcing this idea that it's not just humanity, but the collectiveness of humanity is a very core virtue for these stories. That we are opposing the alien not for any principle of what they stand for, but simply because they are alien. I think it is good that the story is taking such a specific stance. Obviously, disregarding people as being, like, someone as being alien simply for being alien is, like, deeply problematic. I'm unsurprised that that is the vibe coming from like, this game, from the era that this game came out in. But I'm curious if we're going to refine that a little bit more when we run into some aliens that are basically just humans with different colored skin, or, like, not even. But there's, like, definitely a lot more small stuff that happens in between there. There was a lot of talk this time, but I would say generally speaking, that is the most important parts. If I think of anything else, I will cover that during the, like, end of scenario intermission portion, when we also do this, like, concluding scene. But I will catch you all there. Okay, and so here's where maybe there's a flaw in my plan, because we're going to be sitting on this screen for a while to talk about these that I could have just done while we were going through the dialogue. But I guess first before that, yes, there was an important piece of information that we are told by Rey, not once but twice, that she fundamentally understands herself to exclusively exist for the purposes of piloting an Eva unit. I sort of took this information for granted. This is a very common and important element to the Eva story, but it is worth saying out loud because that is also kind of part of this conversation in place. But it's largely unpacked for now, so we're gonna save that until it comes up a little bit more. So we have a route split. There are 3 options this time. Let's talk about each individually, and then if I remember, we've already picked one. I hope I remember which one we picked correctly. We already picked it on stream. So first we have the League Militia route. This is predominantly facing off against Neo-Zeon. We were told that Axis is within a week's worth of our orbit, so I guess we're doing the a colony drop kind of style. But in the meantime, there is an anti-Titan resistance group that Jamitov is trying to, like, stamp out, and the Gundam pilots clock immediately that the GPO-2's nuclear warhead would probably be roughly the payload necessary to destroy that exact size of base. So that's probably how that's going to go down. And, it might be good to stop that. So Gundam pilots are going to be headed that direction, generally speaking. There is then the Far East base. We got a call from actually, who did we get a call from? Because an important part of this is we can't contact somebody. Oh, right. We got it from Hazuki, the scientist who's working on the Dankugar parts. That not only could we stop back at the Far East base, and he can do, like, one last maintenance check on them now that they've had some, like, field testing, and he thinks that there's something else that he could like do. I've mentioned it already, so, like, I guess whoops, but presumably this is going to be we're going to get them to be able to combine. But in the meantime, he also says that Oka has been, like, pretty absent recently, and that's leaving the base pretty undefended, which is, like, also kind of a motivation to get all of the beast machines to come back to just, like, do some, like, light cleanup, make sure everything is in order before we, like, commit to, like, a more long-term plan. And that is because Oka was probably captured, as we expected, for seeming like a defector. But despite the size and nature of that man, which, like, shape, language, and conventions of old school anime would suggest that this was not going to be the case, but I absolutely adore that it is. That man is the most recent head of a clan of ninjas. And I think that's so cool. I don't know if that's canon for Combattler or not, or is he Voltace? Whichever the two of them is. But I think that's just excellent. And in fact, he probably is not actually captured, but he is more going on recon. So he's probably fine, but it probably wouldn't hurt to check in on him. And then last, and this is the route we're going to take, because I'm pretty sure everyone on stream was like, yeah, just pick the one that you say you're the most excited about. Like, let's do the Evo one. That would be good. And if not, whoops, sorry. Because of the attack that we just faced with Sakiel, both Ava 0 and Ava 1 are pretty severely damaged. Ava 1 from the first attack, and then Ava 0 blocked us. Shinji misses his first shot of the rifle. Ray steps in front of the next attack with Ava Unit 0 to block Shinji so that he could line up his next attack. So she's also pretty severely damaged. Which means that both of them are going to be out of commission for a decent amount of time. We were told that they are going to like officially go get sent with us, and then again they needed to be repaired. This is the second time this has happened. But we can go to South Italia again to go pick up Ava Unit 2 that's been deployed from Germany. And then in the process, like the process of going to acquire this new unit, and presumably Ingram suggests we should be prepared for, another Angel attack. They seem to be pretty localized around Ava stuff, so it would be unreasonable for us not to expect some delay because we need to fight something. That in all of that time, when we get back to Nerve, the 2 Ava units should be up and ready to go again. So those are our 3 route splits. There is also like technically 4th secret little plot point in the middle here that Uso also wants to go to space. I believe the League Militia is the option that wants to go to space because Axis is like in space and it's Gundam. Because he's trying to find out some more information about his parents. But like, he's not a unique route split. He's just like going down a path for like very different motivations compared to the rest of these 3, where it's like very clear who's going to be going down these paths. So yeah, I'm going to take the Ava path. I believe that's what we settled on stream. If it wasn't, apologies. I guess like let me know. I guess I could like go back and play the path we said we were going to do instead. But I think this is it for now. I'm also looking at the expert points, and I'm kind of excited by one of them because it has this like really massive hunk and sliding scale of expert points. So let's rock that. And that will basically wrap it up for the stage. But yeah, looking back over my notes, I don't think there's really anything that we missed like crucial to talk about. There's like I said, there's a lot of in-between moments in this chapter. But it's going over a lot of nitty-gritty stuff that feels a lot more like it has a lot more of the energy of like, oh, they said the thing from the anime. They said the thing from the anime. Rather than like actually contributing meaningfully to like what the game is trying to say. Oh man, I'm so close to finishing the Gruncast. Golly, I hope it's worth it. Yeah, that seems fine. That we don't have enough for these parts, but we're pretty darn close. It feels like 2 more missions in the Gruncast will be finished. But let's see what units we've kept. We have the Argama still. That's interesting. I figured that would not have gone with us. Giant Robo, Grungust. Oh, okay. I guess our intermission we've not divided yet because there's no earthly way where we should have any of the Gundam pilots, right? Oh, okay. That's so weird. Okay. Oh, Ingram's with us too. I guess we have to keep him permanently. Cool. All right, hold on. I have not wanted to do this, but I want to look at the actual full flow chart and see what they tell me who's going where. Because there's no earthly way where I would have guessed that we would have kept like most of the UC pilots with us. Like that feels very strange. Okay, so Giant Robo, SRX team, and the rest of the UC Gundam. So, okay, in League Militia, it's just Camille and Fa, all of the Victory Gundam stuff, and all of the 0083. Like, 0083 makes sense because it's part of the story, but the way in which Amuro and Quattro and Bright call out what the GPO2 is going to do. Feels like they were supposed to go that way. Okay, I mean, like, that's fine. That's fine. I was kind of hoping we were just going to have even a trimmer team to like really push us, but that's fine. And then Dunkugar, Mazinger, Combattler, Getter, and Raideen are all going back to check on the Dunkugar research. And Oka, I guess. Okay. Well, I guess that means we have some parts that are sort of floating around again, right? Okay, well then let's adjust those right now, seeing as this is going to be, I think all these are just going to end up being shorter episodes now because of this, but let's put the extra movement on the G Defensor, right? That matters a lot for, like, that's getting that's getting a unit and a half of credit by being there. Who else can use armor? I guess seeing as Ginrei is just like actually a real unit, have this hybrid armor, and then the giant robo is going to take this alloy Z, and then none of the rest of these pilots really deal in armor, so we're gonna put it on the Argama, I guess. In the meantime, this is gonna get moved because I'm like, we're told we're here to pick up Ava Unit 2, so like for sure that's going on Ava Unit 2. I'm so sad we can't sell these. They're really adding just so much to our value in the other games. I guess we're probably gonna end up using most of these pilots. Okay. Here, I suppose. Yeah, seems fine. Let's save that, and we will call it a day. As usual, especially because this is like a little goofed up. If there's anything in the story that I missed that you were like, you really want to talk about, like, please let me know. I will happily comment on. I'm not skipping anything on purpose. I don't think anything else is like really worth calling out here. Maybe I will be wrong when we find out later that it was like a little bit more crucial, but hard for me to say when I don't know where it's going. So that'll do things for me. Like I said before, if you don't like the style, please let me know. It will be around for this episode and then 2 more after, because I'm going to record all these together back to back tonight. But I will absolutely let that reflect in future episodes. But I'm no stranger to needing to change things up if we want it to be different. But that will do things for me. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. I'm not sure when any of this is coming out, so like roughly speaking, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I hope you enjoy your winter season. I don't know how much I'm going to be around, so I appreciate you being here for whatever is present and like still keeping the flame alive with me, you know. But yeah, that'll do things for me. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your evening, make a meaning out of the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.